Welcome to Driva and thank you for tuning in. Driva will now be digital and Francis and me will do the introduction of the speakers from our offices here in Stavanger. So who better to kick off this series than the mayor of Stavanger, Kari Nessa Nordtun. She will tell us more about the energy transition and climate work we have going on here.
Thank you, Siri. I was supposed to welcome you from stage, but during these special times when we all must do what we can to curb the coronavirus, I'm very happy that Nysnø found a new way for us to be together. Therefore, it is a great honor for me to wish you all welcome to Driva 2020 and the very first online edition of this great meeting place for climate investments and solutions. During the weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic, many things have changed, but the need for green solutions remain. As you couldn't be here for yourselves today, I will tell you a little bit about Stavanger and how we work towards green transformation and a resilient low-emission society. Stavanger is Norway's energy capital, and over 40% of the total Norwegian oil and gas industry is located in our region. With the expertise of the oil industry, we are in strong position for developing new green technology, and many of the companies in our region already have solid portfolios within renewable energy, such as offshore wind and electrification. Stavanger region has since the 1970s hosted a supercluster for energy production and research. And we are known for a close collaboration between enterprises in order to create innovation and competitive advantages. We are a highly international city with 181 nationalities represented among 142,000 inhabitants. That's almost every nationality in the world. With such a large oil and gas industry, Stavanger is especially vulnerable for fluctuating oil prices. And as you can imagine, our region is being hit hard by the dropping of oil prices. Locally, we are doing all we can to stimulate activity in the industry, taking strong measures to secure our economy and to secure the competence in the oil and gas sector that is crucial for the transformation that we have ahead of us. We are part of a several networks that work with climate adaptation. And just before our country went into lockdown, I was in Brussels to meet with the other member countries of Government of Mayors, which is a largest global alliance for city climate leadership, built upon the commitment of over 10,000 cities and local governments. We cannot tackle the complexity of climate change individually. Learning from each other's experience will take us faster to our goals. In November 2018, Stavanger adopted a new and ambitious climate and environmental plan. In the plan, we are committed to cut greenhouse gases by 80% by 2030 compared with 2015. And to be a fossil-free municipality by 2040. To make sure that we reach our goals, we are establishing a climate department, that, like they already have in Bergen, to keep close watch with the development in our city. We are also investing 30 million kroners in a climate fund and will introduce a climate budget and count CO2 just the same as we count money. Last year, Stavanger was charted by Cicero to be the one Norwegian municipality that is best adapted to climate change. Emissions have gone down by 2.9% from 2018 to 2019, and it is very inspiring to see that our work gives results, and it makes me optimistic for the task that we have ahead of us. The world focus on pandemic has cast a temporary shadow on the fight against climate change. Yet, the coronavirus experience might still have something important to teach us. The world is fighting together for a common cause. We take action. We make changes. We do it to save people's lives. We do it to save their jobs. And we do it fast because we have to. Innovation, science, and the world have formed a strong team against COVID-19. Imagine what this team can do in the fight against climate change. I wish you have a great experience at Driva 2020. I look forward to enjoy great speakers and great companies, even at a distance. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much to Mayor Kari and Nessa Nordtun for opening Driva. We will continue with a look at the inherent global nature of the climate crisis and the need for global solutions. How can we craft international solutions in a geopolitical climate that is becoming more and more hostile? What will an unstable political and regulatory environment mean for climate investors? Dr. Florence Gaub has made a video exclusively for Driva to answer these questions.
Hello, my name is Florence Gaub. I am the author of Global Trends to 2030, and I will tell you something today about the future. The future looks a bit like a dark place. Climate change, aging populations, urbanization, the erosion of multilateralism, pandemics, wars, less biodiversity, and much more are waiting for us in 2030. But is this really so? Let's take a look at what we know. We know for sure that the future will be warmer. In 2030, 1.5 degrees warmer than in pre-industrial times. In Europe, this means that we will have to manage hotter summers, but also droughts and wildfires. Europe, the United States and China are the main contributors to emissions, but others are not far behind. The Middle East is almost at European levels. Energy production holds the lion's share in emission, and this will continue to rise by 1.7% per year because the world population continues to grow. Cities will be at the forefront of this, and that will matter because 2/3 of people will live in cities in 2030. The cities will consume at least 60% of energy resources, will be responsible for 70% of global emissions, account for 70% of the world GDP, and 35% of GDP growth. The future will definitely be very urban. We also know that by 2030, we will be 8.6 billion people. Global population growth will slow down, but it will not have stopped by then. And humanity will grow up. 12% of the world population will be over 65. And in Europe, it will be even 25%. Russia and China follow the same pattern. As a result, Europe's workforce will have shrunk by 2% and has to spend 2% more on age-related issues. A smaller Europe seems to imply less economic growth, but future economies will be less manpower intensive. We are moving into a knowledge economy, where size alone will no longer matter as much for GDP growth and productivity. We also know that the future will be even more connected than the present. 90% of the world population will be able to read, 75% will have mobile connectivity, and 60% should have broadband access. By 2030, the number of devices connected to the internet will have reached 125 billion. Air passenger numbers will have nearly doubled to more than 7 billion. Air freight will triple, and port handling of maritime containers worldwide could quadruple. Technology will be jumping ahead too. Machine intelligence is beginning to rival human intelligence already. The Internet of Things, AI, advanced robotics, wearables, 3D printing, but also blockchain, new energy storage methods and 5G will also move ahead. In total, the market for key digital technologies will reach 2.2 trillion by 2025. The way we work, fight, age, communicate, solve problems, travel, trade, exchange information, live in cities, solve crimes, do business, vote, and connect to our loved ones will all be changed because of this. In 2030, the United States will no longer be the most powerful state. But not just power distribution changes, also the nature of power. Power will not be determined solely by classic measures such as population size, GDP and military spending, but also no longer just by states, cities, regions, companies and transnational movements too will have power. The connectivity, interdependence and pluralistic nature of the system will mean that power will be determined by relational influence. In that sense, it's not poles that will be the building blocks of the system, but nodes, points where pathways relate to each other. So does that mean that all will be well? Of course not. All of these trends come with potentially very negative developments. Climate change, rapid urbanization and connectivity together, for instance, bear the potential for conflict and unrest. And climate change acts as a threat multiplier. If we fail here, a number of issues will be coming our way, not just droughts and water shortages, but related human crises such as famines. According to the IPCC, climate change will expose 1 billion people to water scarcity in the coming years. The Middle East and North Africa, for instance, will be afflicted by a temperature rise 1.5 times higher than the rest of the world. Aridification and extreme weather will push people from the countryside into cities, where they will struggle to find what they need. This is not so much because food and water won't be available, but because climate change is a real challenge for human bureaucracy. Already we see governments in Asia and Africa struggling with multiple crises that are likely to increase. Human complicity plays a crucial role in the onset of famines, more than just nature alone. And we know that rapid urbanization correlates with the outbreak of civil war. Some studies say that the advances made in poverty reduction might be overturned by climate change, pushing more than 100 million people into extreme poverty by 2030. In Europe, moving to greener economies can mean an increase in fuel prices and a change in lifestyle that will hit some parts of the population more, exacerbating inequalities and giving fodder to populists. And while it's great that we live longer, we don't age particularly well. Europeans don't exercise enough, facing the last 2 decades of their lives in ill health. New technologies make the lives of illiberal democracies and authoritarian systems much easier. The move to AI and robotics mean we're sailing into a shift in the labor market that could be very disrupted if not managed properly. But in general, the existing high-growth, high-consumption economic model is likely to be squashed by climate change consequences, or for instance, pandemics. So what do we do? The good news is that pretty much all future challenges are connected. Climate change, energy needs, connectivity, modern technology, urbanization, even demographics and conflict potential have knock-on effects on each other. This means that by addressing one, we will also have positive effects on the other. Climate change is the new frontier. Whoever gets there first wins the 21st century. Along with the long overdue energy transition and new technologies, this is where the most important social and political shift will occur if we manage to generate the necessary resources to reach our goal of keeping temperature increases at 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial times. At the forefront of this will be different sectors and actors, especially because high-level decision-making has not made the necessary progress. Other actors, such as cities, companies and NGOs, have stepped in with their own measures in place to curb emissions. Cities, but also companies, can be both part of the problem or the solution. Green and smart cities can be centers of innovation and economic activity, and where emissions can be cut particularly well. The energy sector too holds much promise. Although the energy transition was originally planned for 2040, we're now convinced that it will start much sooner. In fact, whoever moves first on renewable energy is likely to gain important benefits. By 2030, Europe is set to draw 32% of its energy from renewable energy sources, but this number is not set in stone. We can get there earlier if we choose to. For instance, if we innovate with improved aircraft, operational efficiency and alternative fuels, the emissions of air travel and shipping can be reduced while connectivity, for instance in train, is maintained. Climate change is also linked to our health. As we age, it's even more important that our diets become more environmentally friendly. 14.5% of greenhouse gas emissions result from cattle raised for both meat and milk. What we eat is intrinsically connected not only to climate change, but also to how we age. If we manage to improve how we age, we will be able to reduce age-related costs, work longer, and be happier. Switching to a low-carbon, climate-neutral, resource-efficient and biodiverse economy will not only be beneficial for climate change, but also for our employment rates and growth. This will accelerate our move towards a knowledge economy, where innovation and ideas, rather than industrial production, will be key. Ultimately, this will lead us to a society where human well-being is no longer defined by income and possession, but by mental well-being and social connectivity.
Thank you so much, Florence, for your global view. Florence is available online right now to take your questions in the comment section, so be sure to fire away. And don't forget to join us again Thursday at 12:30 to meet Trude Sundset, carbon capture and storage expert. Looking forward to seeing you then.